Alright, hello everybody. So this is a video that I've been working on that I put on the preview. Shout out to my subscribers out there that have requested this video on the Jeet Kune concept versus what Bruce Lee originally intended it to be. Now, I did have to do some research on this topic because before making this video, I had the general understanding of Jeet Kune that I feel every other martial artist has. In some cases, some martial artists, and I apologize for the glare right now, so you know the sun's just hitting the wrong angle. But I like to do these videos during my free time because normally I have a lot of activities going on. I'll be training somebody later tonight, looking out for a Halloween special, so look out for that, everybody. But yeah, I'll be explaining Jeet Kune and referencing a lot of the Tao of Jeet Kune, which has a lot of the concepts that Bruce Lee has wanted us to learn. So check out this clip.
But it doesn't change anything. I don't believe in system, Mr. Longstreet, nor in method. And without system, without method, what's to teach?
But you had to learn. You weren't born knowing how to take apart three men in a matter of seconds.
True. But I found the cause of my ignorance.
Well, help me find mine.
Kick me in the stomach as hard as you can.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to hurt you.
I'm holding an air shield. Come on.
Drive right through it, won't I?
I'll risk it.
Okay.
Come here. Now put your hands in here. Hold it against your side. Brace yourself. Now I want you to feel the difference when I put my body behind the kick. When I count to 3, exhale strongly. I'll be kicking you.
Okay.
Can you stand behind me?
Who's there?
Who is that?
It's me, baby. Just in time to pick up the pieces.
Oh, ho, ho.
You ready?
Ready.
1, 2, 3. Hi!
Alright everybody, so just getting straight to it, that was one of Bruce Lee's students, and Bruce Lee has shared that concept with him, as well as it's in the Tao of Jeet Kune towards the end of the chapters. Talks about how, you know, he did debate on creating the Tao of Jeet Kune only because maybe the people reading it would get the wrong idea of the message he was trying to display. So I'll be focusing on that. Now, I did make a similar video to the one I'm going to talk to right now about. It was, is Jeet Kune really a style, or really a martial arts style? Now, that video does support this video. It's just that I'm going to go into more detail in this video on what Bruce Lee originally intended Jeet Kune to be. So let's get to it. So for the Jeet Kune concepts that we know today, that most martial artists know of, is that many believe that Jeet Kune is a martial arts style. And in that style, the movements are very direct, very simplified, straight to the point, aimed at the vital points, protecting your own vital points. And in that style of Jeet Kune, you know, you see a variation of boxing, parrying, fencing techniques. You'll see efficient grappling. No, you'll see movements that are bits and pieces taken from other styles. Now, Bruce Lee does use the phrase take what's useful, discard what isn't. But again, this is a concept. Now, in the style, they have a lot of movements like the pendulum roundhouse kick, the shuffle kick, a lot of side kicks that are straight to the point. No, you have your front dragon fist. So if you're let's just say you're a southpaw, you would actually have your right hand forward versus in the back. So here's the thing, is that Jeet Kune Do is not a style. You don't grab a bunch of movements and say, this is Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. You don't do that. Now, are those the movements that Bruce Lee would use in the majority? Yes. But Jeet Kune Do is created for the individual. Bruce Lee developed the Jeet Kune Do concept for us so that, yeah, sorry about this. Yes. The sun's against me, everybody. Alrighty. There we go. Alrighty. So, Jeet Kune Do Bruce Lee created the Jeet Kune Do concept for experienced martial artists. This way, it would be a catalyst to the martial art that you practice. So, if you're in karate, if you're a boxer, if you're a grappler, taekwondo, tang soo do, kung fu, Wing Chun, you name it. Whatever style that you practice, the concept of Jeet Kune Do is to apply what's more efficient from each style. But, and this is the top of Jeet Kune Do, it's an expression of yourself. So, it's not just the choice of movement that you choose to be effective. It's what movement expresses you the most that you can naturally make more effective. So I'll give an example. So, a lot of movements that Jeet Kune Do in the style develop, you'll see a lot of let's say the pendulum roundhouse kick, the kicking with the front leg. You'll see a lot of jab movements. I call it the dragon jab. You'll see a lot of eye gouging, pokes, things like that. You'll see a lot of that. This it's kind of like this one punch that he does in Enter the Dragon. When you square off with somebody, hand to hand, guard to guard. No, I can't be on this for too long. So, whatever. So all these movements worked very well for Bruce Lee. So everything he was showing you in the movies and in documentaries, performances, these were movements that were 100% efficient for Bruce Lee. Now, this you got to take into consideration the level of his performance. If you throw a jab at somebody, it might not knock them out. But if Bruce Lee throws a jab at you, he'll probably, shatter your jaw. He'll shatter your face with a jab. Why? Because he also trained his body, every piece of bone, every piece of muscle to be very effective. So for Bruce Lee, those set of movements are highly effective because he can also back it up with speed and with strength. Versus somebody else that is kind of like an intermediate martial artist, and their power hit is used to being the one in the back, and their front hand is used to be the one that's the smarter hand for defense. if they switch their stance around and they use their power side, they might not know how to execute that from that position. I mean, you get a karate guy that builds up all his power from the rear of the stance and then shoots it forward. You know, they're gonna hit you with a very effective punch, enough to, you know, break a stone. Imagine that going towards your rib. Yeah, it's gonna be very effective. The thing is, if you're applying a Jeet Kune Do concept, let's just say to your karate, but let's say you're a heavier person and you don't have the speed as Bruce Lee does, you might be choosing a whole set of movements entirely different than the movements that Bruce Lee chose. So maybe for a karate guy, you know, they'll attack you with their block. I don't know if you've ever seen a karate block, but they look very sharp. Now, this is my opinion when it comes to the Jeet Kune Do concept versus Bruce Lee's original intention. Even though he does state in the book that it's an expression of yourself, what I get from the Tao of Jeet Kune Do and from his interviews, and what a lot of people actually take from Jeet Kune Do, is that, you know, it's something you gotta apply to what you already know. So again, we go back to the karate guy. If the karate guy has a very strong block, so strong it could probably fracture your forearm while blocking, then that's your Jeet Kune Do. Use that forward head block or forward chest block and destroy your opponent's attack coming at you. Because yeah, I mean, I do believe that experienced karate practitioner that practices for combat, if you throw a punch at them and they catch you, they can break your arm with a simple block. You know, you see it in Muay Thai, you see it in kickboxing. Although some of them will block with their elbow with a spear move. They'll block a fist. Highly effective. You know, you see boxers catch the fist. Mayweather does that before he attacks you with the same fist. So a lot of these fighters that came after Bruce Lee have already started developing their own sense of Jeet Kune Do. They just don't label it Jeet Kune Do. But you do see it in every effective fighter. If you watch the UFC, you know, you can tell the brawlers versus the skilled fighters that know what to do in almost every situation. I mean, Muhammad Ali was able to dodge punches to his face with something as similar as like an Ultra Instinct move. Again, that works for him. That's Muhammad Ali's Jeet Kune Do. So going back to it is that Jeet Kune Do is not a martial art. I mean, it's now not trying to attack the Jeet Kune Do senseis or masters or Jeet Kune Do coaches, but I do believe that the direction should be handled differently, where the coach analyzes your physique, your size, your speed, your agility, what you already know when it comes to fighting, and adapt a more efficient fighting style specifically for you. You know, I mean, let's just say, you know, you have a sumo wrestler, but they want to switch to Jeet Kune Do. Again, not a martial arts style. Jeet Kune Do is a concept. So, in this case, the sumo wrestler is going to find a way to effectively use their weight in a street fight. use their weight against every type of martial art practitioner. A sumo guy versus another sumo guy, you know, there's a set of rules. There's a set of rules they can't break. You know, they live in their own world when it comes to their sport. You know, it's like you won't see a boxer kicking somebody in the ring. So what do you do? Jeet Kune Do for a boxer would be, how can you adapt your boxing when somebody's throwing a flurry of kicks at you? And yeah, it's possible. Just remember, and I'm kind of just giving away this secret. It's not a secret really. If you empty your cup and start thinking about like a fighter and stop thinking like a martial artist, you'll realize if you're a boxer and somebody's kicking at you, and you ask yourself, wow, I cannot close the gap to punch this this Muay Thai fighter, this kickboxer, this guy from Taekwondo, you know, and you're a boxer trying to close the gap. So you think, okay, what Jeet Kune Do concept would work for me? I can't punch the person's vital parts. Very true. But you're a boxer and you know how to punch. And if you're a boxer and you trust what you know, destroy your opponent's leg. If you're being kicked, break their ankle. Hit the sole of their foot. If they're gonna throw a roundhouse at you, punch them in the knee. Because I mean, a boxer can punch very hard. If I were to throw a roundhouse straight to a boxer's head, and they take the advantage of coming into my guard and punch me right in the kneecap, I'm gonna feel that. Doesn't matter how much training I have. You're gonna feel that that opposite effect of what you're trying to do. That's a boxer's Jeet Kune Do. Apply it to another fighter. If you're gonna fight a sumo wrestler, how would you do it? Then you have to switch up your Jeet Kune Do. I mean, in all honesty, every time you better yourself, you advance in the martial arts, you learn new movements, you get faster or you get stronger in different places. You build a stronger defense. You learn a new martial arts style and incorporate it with your old one. Your Jeet Kune Do is going to change. And Bruce Lee knows that. Bruce Lee did not just quit martial arts and say, I'm going to make my own martial art. No. He studied other martial arts. And for his size, but for his level of speed and strength, well, Bruce Lee developed a fighting style that was efficient for him. He can only show you his version of Jeet Kune Do. He can't show you somebody else's version of Jeet Kune Do. So the Tao Jeet Kune Do is just kind of like scratching the surface of what he was trying to teach. I'm pretty sure that if Bruce Lee was still alive today, the Tao Jeet Kune Do would have had a lot of volumes to it. Probably would have had a grappling volume. Probably would have had a volume when it comes to boxing, when it comes to Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Kung Fu styles, various Kung Fu styles, weapons, martial arts like Eskrima or Kali, wrestling. Yeah, there would have been a lot of more volumes. It would have not stopped at just one volume. I mean, if anything, in the Tao Jeet Kune Do, he states on how you should train. That's a very important aspect. The way to train. Incorporates speed, endurance, technique, incorporates power. I mean, at some points you gotta be loose, at some points you attack. You know? If you're in Kung Fu, we have a lot of styles that are very stiff and rigid, but the moment you attack, you loosen up completely. So, and again, I've done this video before, but I haven't incorporated the top Jeet Kune Do because I've barely started scratching the surface on it and really looking into his philosophy there. Doing more Bruce Lee videos, it just helps me determine that he was aware that this concept would be different for everybody. Like I myself, I'm a 250-pound individual that I don't stick to one style, regardless of the style I know. Now, the funny thing is that my martial arts instructor really enjoys the concepts of Jeet Kune Do, and he's applied it to our practice for all the years that we've trained. So when I look at a lot of the Jeet Kune Do movements, I call it Kung Fu because I grew up learning those movements within my Kung Fu style. So let's just say, if I'm doing a straight punch to somebody's face, as soon as they try to attack me, let's just say they leave their neck open, I'll incorporate a tiger. Instead of doing that jab movement or a poke to, or a gouge to the eyes, you know what? I'm gonna shoot my hand, make a tiger, and go straight for their neck as fast as possible. So, no, I grew up on stop kicks, on penetration kicks, on side kicks, on shuffle kicks, on back fist, on straight jabs, keeping your hands up, jumping back and forth on the ball of your feet, having a stance where you have a slight opening, protecting your vital parts, as well as learning some Wing Chun, as well as learning some animal Kung Fu. So when me and my fellow brothers in the martial arts in Kung Fu would spar, we would have a Jeet Kune Do stance. But again, we called it Kung Fu. Some other people called it kickboxing. Regardless, I don't think Jeet Kune Do instructors should stop what they're doing. They just really need to understand that these are concepts and they're going to be different for every student. If you have a heavier individual, he's not going to be as fast as the leaner one. Probably never. So that needs to be understood, is that just the same way as now there's a lot more martial arts out there, the way now we can make conscious decisions of what martial art better suits us. Jeet Kune Do is kind of like that concept of how you can be efficient in the martial art you're already in. Because remember, back then, there wasn't a lot to choose from. You either did karate, you did kung fu with a Chinese association, or you did boxing, wrestling, or you were practicing with Bruce Lee. So, the martial arts was not as popular as you think during the times of Bruce Lee. A lot of people were more into karate, boxing. So nowadays, I think instinctively they cops are here. Instinctively, they know what they might want to do, what style they might want to pursue. So this concept is actually more less of a secret than you think. It's just that Bruce Lee, he came from a time where you had to do things a certain way. And I highly recommend, if you do pick a martial arts style, do it exactly how they teach you first. Stance by stance, punch by punch. Even if it's not effective, do it. Then when you get good at it, then start to play around with it, spar with it, feel what's effective. I mean, I've seen people endlessly knock people out with tornado kicks. A tornado kick is a very flashy kick, but it's highly effective when it makes contact. I mean, you will instantly knock somebody out with a tornado kick if you land it. Or if you throw it towards the body, they're going to go down. Again, it's very effective. So if you've developed a tornado kick to the point where it just flows out from you, that's your Jeet Kune Do. Flashy kicks, flashy punches can actually be your Jeet Kune Do if you've put them through the rigorous training of combat. I mean, back in the I forgot which dynasty, but back then, with the Three Kingdoms, you had, you had, which is now a saint, Quan Kun. And forgive me if I mispronounce it. Like I say, I'm from the south, SoCal. But we had Quan Kun, so he was a really, big general, He had a Quan Dao that was 100 pounds. Obviously, regardless of how strong he is, if he was to wield that Quan Dao of 100 pounds, he wouldn't be as fast as he would be if he had a lighter weapon. But he used this Quan Dao on horseback. So, he would carry this with the horse, with the strength of the horse, and he would fling it at his opponents. And just imagine 100 pounds falling on your face. Oh yeah, it's gonna cut right through you. So yeah, maybe wielding that Quan Dao, on the ground towards your opponents would take, a high level of skill, and still you'd be at some kind of handicap. But if you're on horseback and you need to reach your enemies that you're trying to plow down, that's a pretty good weapon. I mean, honestly, just riding the horse and just slightly swinging that weapon with that amount of weight to it, it's gonna knock somebody's head out. Again, that was the Jeet Kune Do of the Quan Dao. Use it on horseback. No. There's a lot of martial arts out there that you use depending on the circumstance. Just how I talk about Wing Chun. My concept of Wing Chun, if your opponent knows you're going to use Wing Chun on them, there's a good chance you already lost. That's got to be one of those styles that you hold in your pocket and you release it at the right moment. You don't approach your opponents like this in a Wing Chun stance, just kind of waiting for them to wail on you or keep their distance. Some martial arts, Wing Chun was developed for, by a female, for females, for, for a weaker stature, so they have the chance to defend themselves. But again, they had the element of surprise that they weren't going to be a threat. So, again, now I do go back and forth with this topic, because the more I look at Jeet Kune Do, I either find somebody saying it has to be this way, and then I do find others saying this is not a martial art. It's the sugar to your cereal, basically. So, again, I welcome all disagreements, especially on this topic. Don't mean to offend anybody, because, as well as any martial arts style, they're not all perfect. You know, if I get in a fight, I'm not going to go straight to using a tiger or a crane stance to fight my opponents. No, I'll probably incorporate boxing first. And when, you know, my opponent least expected, you know, I'll give them a crane slap to the back, to the side of the neck when they're not expecting it. Remember, martial arts, they're, you know, they're effective when you don't see them coming. If somebody gets in my face for whatever reason and gets into a martial art pose, first thing I'm going to assume is, oh, they're a martial artist. I better keep my distance until I see them mess up. You know, again. So that's my take on Jeet Kune Do's concepts of what we know now versus what Bruce Lee intended to be. And you'll see it in the top of Jeet Kune Do. If you see the specials on YouTube, there's some on YouTube. There's some that were created after his death on what Bruce Lee intended to be. I mean, he lets you know. He says, "Empty your glass." I mean, honestly, you'll find more effective fighting from a gang member who all he does is fight and polishes his craft. Now you get that gang member and you give him more tools in fighting, they're only going to get better, and all they know is full intention for combat. So remember that. If you're looking for an effective martial art, they can all be effective, but you got to train them in combat. Again, this is cage, combat, and fitness. Every martial art you see here, we're training it to the level of combat. All right, guys, have a great day. Again, like, subscribed. Not trying to target anybody when it comes to Bruce Lee's concepts. You know, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Let me know in the comments. You know, write me a paragraph. I'll give it a like, give it a heart, and I'll share my opinion. All right, have a great day, everybody.